Welcome to Kev's Travel Stories. Each week I'll be bringing you a story from the weird and wonderful world of travel, a world that can change the way you see life and love and even the way we find meaning. Places that are iconic and sometimes surprising and even terrifying. So sit back and enjoy while we go on a magical mystery tour together. Welcome to Kevin's Travel Stories, and this week I'm sharing a secret. Yes, if you listen to the end of this podcast, you will discover my secret for having a successful marriage. Now, I want to immediately put in a codicil there. I'm not talking about how to have a wonderful marriage itself. I wouldn't be the person to give any advice on that, I assure you. I'm going to give you advice, which I can give, on how to have a wedding ceremony that will live long in the memory and won't damage the bank. Okay, so we all know, if we live in Northern Europe, you are going to get fleeced if you're getting married in one of the big hotels in Ireland, or the UK, or Oslo, or Paris. They are so expensive. And you may have up to several hundred guests coming, and the cost could buy you a very, very, very decent car or, a small holiday bungalow in a not too expensive area. So we're looking at a lot of money. And I think the worst thing about having one of those holidays at home, well, it's twofold. This is my own experience here, talking and going to weddings with friends and family. The weather can be appalling. I can remember going to quite a distinguished celebrity wedding in Ireland on a beautiful part of the west coast in July, and we were frozen. Absolutely frozen. They spent a fortune. It was so sad to see the beautiful bridesmaids in their little dresses, and everybody was dressed up to the nines, and the gale came in from the Atlantic and blew us all away. Not happy. And I don't think anybody was happy who'd gone to all that trouble. The other thing is, you're full of people who don't know one another, and maybe people who don't mix well, and maybe people who are going to have rows, and seen some terrible rows at weddings. I think we're brainwashed to this idea you have to have a big wedding at home. I'm always taken aback now when I meet friends and their kids or their grandkids are getting married, and where are you having the wedding, I always ask, thinking they're going to go off and follow my advice, which I'm going to share with you now, and they come back and they say, oh no, we're going to this castle in so-and-so, or we're going to this hotel. I think, my God, the price alone. And the summer in Northern Europe has been appalling. There was a friend of mine, their kids got married the other day, and it didn't stop raining from the beginning of the day to the end. It's heartbreaking in a way. Oh, well, so there we are. There's the heartbreak, the mad expense, and all of these people who may not like each other. And you may not like them. You just have to invite them if they're just down the road. It was my son Kieran who opened my eyes to what can really work to make a fabulous marriage ceremony. He went on a holiday with his wife-to-be to Tropea. Now, Tropea, if you imagine Italy as a boot, it's right down in the toe, and you can look across to Sicily. Now, the reason they loved that place is it was jaw-droppingly beautiful, and I'll describe it in a minute, and the food and everything. But you had to do the following to get there. You had to get a flight to Naples. You had to get from Naples to the train station, which is an ordeal, believe me, in the mad Naples. 3-hour train ride down to the toe of Italy. An hour in the taxi. Only close family, friends and members would be bothering their ass to go there, which was absolutely brilliant. If you pick somewhere that's far away, you're going to have an automatic weeding out process. You won't fall out with anybody because you'll say you're very welcome to come to here, and they'll take one look at it and they'll go, no thanks, I don't like you that much. Actually, I don't like you at all. So it was an absolute eye-opener what Kieran and Maria did. We had sunshine from beginning to end. The food was incredible. I can remember nights, there was about 25 people in total went. It was a great community because everybody liked each other and knew each other. We ate at these fabulous cheap restaurants. The first night, I think it was pizzas out on the street, the best pizza you could possibly imagine. The next night, it was at a different restaurant and they had pasta dishes. And you could meet up during the day, you could have your coffees, and it was cheap as chips. The wedding ceremony itself was on this hill, and it's something straight out of Hollywood, one of the animated movies from Pixar. It's incredible. Look it up on YouTube or look it up on Google. Santa Maria del Isis, a 4th century monastery, which was on this little island surrounded by sea, and you could get out to it at low tide, and you had to walk up hundreds of steps. And it was just fabulous. You couldn't even begin to recreate this in a Hollywood movie. I can remember I had this Airbnb on the top of the hill. It was a little bit more expensive, but it was worth it in the end. And we looked across the bay at the church. And then the bridegroom, my son and his best men, got changed there. It was so hot. We walked with our shirts off and up the steps to the church and put our shirts on there and went into the coolness of the church. And I can remember little Kuba, my grandson, bearing that heat. And then Maria, the bride, walked up the steps. And she didn't have one bead of sweat. She was perfect. So it was really fabulous. That night, we went to this organic food place just outside, up in the hills, where everything was from local wines and biodynamic wines. We had a friend playing his guitar. It was just absolutely amazing. And then during the day, it turned into a week-long holiday. You'd meet friends, you'd go and dine on squid. So what you got was a week's holiday in the sun, guaranteed, at a quarter of the price it would have cost if you'd have had it in a big hotel back home. The memories were so fabulous that I'll never forget some of those things. And there was another occasion just last year where another close family member got married in Portugal, in Quinta do Lago. And this is a very posh place and a moneyed place. And we went as a family and again took a week off. The wedding took 2 days. We stayed there for another 5 days. We stayed in the Magnolia Hotel, which is really a famous hotel. The Irish rugby team has trained there, Liverpool, Celtic. It has fabulous facilities. There's lots of sports facilities. There's restaurants there that will take the eyes out of your head. The Bold Octopus is one which is set out into the sea. I can remember sitting there and watching the sunset as the wedding party started to get into its full swing. You could swim during the day with the grandkids in the Magnolia Hotel. The breakfast was amazing. And sunshine and warm weather all the time. The wedding was held in a very wonderful restaurant. If you're ever in Quinta do Lago, try the Bovina Steakhouse. The oysters and champagne. The steaks, 3 different sorts of steaks. Absolutely wonderful. There's this warmth of being away. You're getting away from the tedium of home. I hate going to weddings in Ireland and you come back home and you're back in the cold and sometimes it's wet and you never get away. But if you do it abroad, you will have sunshine. You will have inexpensive, wonderful local food and wine. And you will have a holiday with people that you actually like. Now, I believe that is the way to win when it comes to arranging a marriage. Will the marriage last any longer? Well, who knows? As Oscar Wilde said, marriage is the triumph of hope over experience. But if you do take this advice, at least the wedding memories will survive for a lifetime. And not only will they survive, but you will have money in the bank as well. What more will that do? And what better way to start your marriage than great memories, money in the bank, and the warmth of knowing you've had a holiday?